Let's go.
Welcome to the Integrative Edge, your go-to podcast for fresh perspectives on holistic health and functional movement. Join us as we explore innovative ways to optimize your health naturally and sustainably.
I'm Kelly Demers, founder of the Integrative Wellness Coalition and the owner of True North Performance.
I'm Lindsay Seefeld, doctor of physical therapy and owner and operator of Uplifted Oncology Rehab.
I'm Dr. Kimberly Klimek, licensed pharmacist and owner of Innate Healing and Performance.
You can find the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe so you never miss an episode.
Welcome back to the Integrative Edge, the podcast where we explore innovative ways to optimize your health naturally and sustainably. I'm Kelly Demers, and as always, joined by my two amazing co-hosts, Dr. Lindsay Seefeld and Dr. Kim Klimek. Today's episode is all about success stories, real people who have made incredible transformations. We're going to share stories of resilience, breakthroughs, and the power of combining movement, functional medicine, and rehabilitation to create lasting change. Let's get into it. We're just going to go roundtable here and share some success stories. And the reason for this is because if you feel stuck or you feel like you've tried everything, you're wondering if change is even possible, let these stories serve as proof that change is possible. I'm going to kick things off with a story about one of our clients. His name is Clint. He had a wake-up call that really changed everything. We have some reels coming out featuring Clint on our social medias soon. But Clint's story really begins with him sitting in a doctor's office when he heard some words that really shook him to his core. He was pre-diabetic. The doctor laid out two paths for Clint. You can start with medication and all of the side effects and the long-term health risks that come with it, or you can take control of your life through lifestyle changes. And thankfully for us, Clint chose the second option. The issue was that Clint wasn't just dealing with blood sugar concerns. He was also battling severe sciatica and shoulder pain, limiting his ability to move. So on one side, we were telling him to exercise and be healthy, but he was really limited when he started. So his ability to move, exercise, and even do some daily activities without discomfort were difficult. He committed to twice weekly one-on-one sessions, not just to improve his fitness, but to really reclaim his life. Today, Clint is pain-free. His sciatica is completely gone. He's off 2 of the 3 medications that he was on before he started at True North, and he's not stopping there. He's on track to discontinue the 3rd one soon. And what's important to note about his story is that it wasn't about the quick fix. It was about taking ownership of his health. It was about putting in the work, staying consistent, and driving those real lasting results. So Clint is a shining example that Clint is proof that change is possible no matter where you're starting from. So that's my one of a few of stories, but I think it's so relatable, his journey to better health. Kim, do you want to share a story of yours?
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be such an amazing episode. I am going to start out with essentially one of my day one homies, I like to call her, and she knows who she is. The OGs. And I say that with encouragement because she was literally kind of one of the individuals who kickstarted this whole business of mine that I started and decided to go on this journey because she believed in me. And so her name is Sarah, and she's a beautiful individual, actually an individual who is, 30-year-old, little 30-year-old gal, has 2 beautiful boys, married, owns her own business as well. Actually is a mom who practices more holistically in general, has always just kind of lived that kind of lifestyle, understands nutrition, exercise, wellness. Those are all components of living a healthy lifestyle. But as I was seeing her at her business, we started to talk about a couple things that resonated with her because I was sharing more about my own personal health journey. And as we were together each of our visits, she opened up to me a little bit about the things that she was struggling with on her health journey. And I explained to her, hey, like I've decided to kind of, switch my career path here. I want a scholarship to the Institute of Functional Medicine. I'm going to kind of pursue this route. And I'm learning about XYZ in my program, in my classes. Sounds like some of the things that you are struggling with are things that I'm learning about. And so in short, she was primarily struggling with symptoms of like hormonal imbalances, so dealing with a little bit more painful periods, headaches and migraines before her periods, getting more breast tenderness before her cycles, just more irritability, mood changes. And then the other prominent symptom that she was struggling with is just kind of lifelong eczema. So she was showing me her hands, and she's someone that has to use her hands every day in her job. So this was just super important for her. And a lot of women out there, we care about our aesthetics and our skin and the way we feel and look every single day. So for me, I mean, it was just kind of non-negotiable. I was like, okay, we got to figure this out for you. And so I said, I think I can help you, especially with the hormone stuff, because a lot of it was a similar journey that I was experiencing. So she took the leap and was just like, you know what, I'm all in. Let's start on this kind of root cause testing. And we did. Kind of started with some personalized hormone testing for her. Discovered that she had essentially kind of like no and very low progesterone levels in the second half of her cycle. So that wasn't allowing her to have just more like calming effects and things like that are presented from having optimal progesterone. So kind of our first part of the journey was actually getting her progesterone a little bit more balanced through functional medicine strategies. She had done breast thermography. That was kind of one of her first things, and she learned that she had just high estrogen dominance buildup in the breast tissue area. So she kind of was referred to me a little bit too from a similar individual who we work with, who we mentioned multiple times on our podcast episode. And we started this journey actually too, because through the hormone testing that I did for her, I realized she had just kind of whole systemic body estrogen dominance. So again, very big, easy clinical picture where there was low progesterone, too much estrogen in the body. So we started on this journey of estrogen dominant techniques to release and detox that from the body. And so I know we had referred her to Dr. Lindsay as well to help her get her lymphatics going, because that was something new that she wasn't doing. So she really did start on this perfect journey. She decided to commit and go all in with herself. So she started at the beginning. We started doing lymphatic drainage. We started doing liver detoxification. She participated in some community events that I held with doing liver detoxes together, so we could have support systems and people to do it with us. Because I talk a lot about how the liver, houses a lot of control over how we metabolize and process our hormones. So we did that together. And then I wanted to get a little bit more, I definitely wanted to get a full thyroid panel for her. And she was all in. She's like, let's do the whole blood work. Let's do the whole functional blood work panel. So we were able to identify through that. And we did a microbiome and gut test for her as well, because she was telling me too, struggling with a little bit. For me, the eczema, I was like, okay, we got to actually identify root causes. People to skin rashes and manifestation of that is actually just through your gut microbiome and what's going on there. So I always explain that to people too. It's not always just like the black and white, like, okay, I'm struggling with bloating or constipation or IBS. Like there's so much things that your gut controls and regulates. So I was like, we need to actually look at your microbiome health to fix your eczema. So we did, and we identified through her gut health test that she was actually recirculating estrogen. So instead of eliminating it through proper bowel movements, she was recirculating that in her body. So all it did was just kept getting absorbed instead of binding to a little bit more fiber and to agents and some professional grade supplements, which you can use that help bind up a little bit more estrogen and help it be eliminated from the body better. She started doing castor oil packs on the liver. What's the other thing? We identified that she did in fact have a large component of leaky gut. So and then she had some small bowel overgrowth infection. So we did use a little bit of like different forms of prebiotics and a little bit of antimicrobial herbs to help eradicate some of those overgrowths and infections, and then focused on actually healing her gut barrier lining. And again, that didn't really happen overnight, but over the past 6 months of working with her, I had even reached out to her because I was like, I follow up and I want to know what progress we're making. And so I had a little quote from her here too, because I said, hey, how is your eczema? Like, any improvements in that? And, got a message. This is a couple of months back when I messaged her, and she's like, Kim, I'm doing really well, actually. She's like, I actually don't have any eczema symptoms or problem areas right now, I have to tell you. She's like, that's the first time that's happened to me since May. And that was like a year ago. So we just seen a lot of drastic improvements with actually identifying her personalized data. Because the other one thing too is we identified that because weight was also something that she was talking to me about too, and just she was doing all the right things for sure, and just can't really like budge a little bit on the weight. And that was where I know we talked about in our thyroid episode. This was where I identified through her personalized blood work and full blood work panel that she actually was in the early stages. She had actually had a little bit more higher antibodies acting against her thyroid. So I was like, yep, your body is going to always prioritize dealing with these root cause infections, the thyroid imbalances, etc., because it doesn't feel safe right now for you to lose, any weight. So let's focus on helping that. And again, the way we did that was actually working on healing her gut health. And it's still a work in progress and still a journey for her, but we saw a lot of these wins along the way that I just talked to you about here. And she is an amazing individual. Anybody would be lucky to work with her because she's committed, and she was determined to get the results that she desired.
That's great. I'm going to jump in again with a story about one of our clients. Her name is Karen. Karen is also going to be featured on an upcoming reel. Baxter was kind enough to chronicle her journey with us. Karen had 3 hip surgeries in a single year, and according to her doctors, every single surgery was a success. So why then, months later, post-op, she was still walking with a cane, and she was still struggling to do daily activities. She had done everything by the book. She did the surgery, she did the rehab, she was doing the rest as prescribed, but the quality of her life really stalled. And instead of accepting that this was her new normal, and Karen is in her young 80s, she is a remarkable individual. We were so blessed to work with her and help her through her journey. But instead of accepting that that was her new normal, she committed to 6 months of one-on-one training, and she really focused on building strength and improving mobility, regaining confidence in her movement patterns. And I look at her today, and she's walking without a cane. She's lifting more weights than she has ever in her program with us. She moves freely. She moves independently. Her future today looks completely different than it did a year ago. If she would have settled for good enough, we wouldn't have this success story to share today. So Karen is an awesome reminder that just because something is common doesn't mean that it's normal. I think I've said that in every podcast, but common does not mean normal. You don't have to accept pain and limitations because there is a better way forward. So my success story is, when surgery and physical therapy, sometimes they're not enough. Try one more thing is what I would say.
Yeah.
Dr. Lindsay, I'll kick it over to you.
Okay. Oh, I have such a beautiful story. So her name is Shirley, and Shirley was diagnosed with breast cancer, I believe in her 50s, early 50s. And she went through lumpectomy. She had radiation and chemotherapy through her course of cancer treatment. And pretty instantaneously after surgery, she developed what's called lymphedema. So lymphedema is chronic swelling. So swelling that, just stays. And her arm was definitely huge compared to her right. And so Shirley, prior to me, she sought out the traditional healthcare system. So she did worked with a lymphatic therapist, did just regular lymphatic drainage. The course is exercise, a lot of times garments, compression, just different. She obtained a pump to help manage her lymphatics, and she kind of went this kind of constant wagon wheel. So she would do therapy would get better, but because of the insurance world, you either have so many approved visits and then you get cut off, or you plateau. And in her case, she do really well and kind of reach her max, and then just traditionally you have to discharge these patients from caseload because they've met their goals. But then when she quit her therapy, then symptoms get worse, and then she'd have to come back to therapy. So this is a process of like years. I think she sought out PT for years, 10 plus years, I believe, of just kind of constantly going in and out. And she was just extremely like disheartened. This was such a hard journey for her. And the biggest part is the impact of her health. So she suffered from frequent episodes of what's called cellulitis. And cellulitis is basically an infection that can develop anywhere in the body, but in her case, she would develop in her lymphatic arm, and just terrible pain with cellulitis. You have redness, heat, extreme pain, and sometimes you can go septic where your organs will start shutting down. And this Shirley had episodes of cellulitis at least 4 to 5 times per year, and sometimes in her case, like 1 per year, she'd be hospitalized because of how severe this was. Shirley was single. Her children were all grown and out of the house, but she had a job, and she was one person income. Like if she wasn't working, she wasn't making money, and she would literally have to save her PTO for episodes of where she I'm going to get sick, probably, a dozen or so more times per year. So, there went her PTO. So she would never be able to take a vacation. She had to save it for the fact that she was going to get sick several times per year. So this was just a very disheartening story. And, when she came to me, I heard the same kind of pattern. When I had therapy, I did fantastic. And then when I quit, it would come right back again. And I knew instantly that, Shirley, you require what I call maintenance therapy, where it's working with that therapist for consecutive frequent type manual lymphatic drainage to keep your system clear and moving and detoxified. And every individual is different. In her case, we found a regimen that really worked well for her. One time per month is all she needed, just to keep her lymphatic system going. And obviously, I've coached her along the path, different things that we can help do and to help regulate her lymphatic system. And, so Shirley and I have been working together for over 3 years now, and she has not had one episode of cellulitis in these 3 years. And she's able to enjoy life. She has just 2 beautiful grandchildren, and I get emotional because she's able to go camping with her kids and her grandkids because she doesn't get these cellulitis episodes. So I'm so thankful that God put her in my path so I can help her live her best life. And lymphedema and cellulitis don't have to take over her life. So I just share this story because there's hope out there for you if you're suffering from severe lymphedema, chronic pain because of your cancer. There's ways to live a better quality of life. And I just absolutely love and I'm so passionate helping these individuals get that life back.
I love it. You did it. One of the things that I think is so great about the business that we are in is we're in it to really help people. And when I look at, owning a small business is so difficult, and it's stories like these that put you all 100%, I am back in. I'll share another story of, relatable in terms of going from chronic pain to, my friend Deb was in a situation where she had chronic pain, wasn't able to live the life that she wanted. She was in pain for 2 years and 2+ years and was really stuck in where she was. She had a back injury from a group fitness class that really left her not only unable to exercise, but because she had shoulder and neck pain, put her in the chiropractor's office really regularly, and the relief that she got never really lasted. And the problem with that is the things that she loved to do, carry her own clubs, playing a round of 18 holes, even something as simple as doing her hair to go out for the night, really became difficult and frustrating and exhausting at times. And when she came to True North, one of the things that she said was, listen, I've really tried everything. Very skeptical about what she was entering into, because she'd already spent the time, the money, the effort, the resources, the energy, all of the things on these solutions that were laid out, but never quite worked. And when you've tried so many things, it's really easy to lose hope. But she decided to take the leap of faith and give it one more shot. She committed to one-on-one coaching sessions. She actually did 48, not just to reduce the pain, but to rebuild strength and movement in a way that would last over the long term. And we look at her today, and she's pain-free. She hasn't needed a chiropractor in over a year. More importantly, she is back on the golf course playing full rounds multiple times a week. So full rounds of golf being 18 holes multiple times a week. She's feeling stronger than ever. For Deb, it wasn't just about fixing an injury. It was really about getting her life back. This is another testimonial that you'll see on our reels coming up, because her story is so relatable. You don't have to accept the situation that you're in, even if you've quote unquote tried everything. We get a lot of those people in here, and we are able to make meaningful change. Kim, I know you have another client win.
Yeah. Just like piggybacking off of that there, you just said like you don't have to accept the situation that you're in if this is just what you've been told. And another success story that I'm going to share is just something that's so near and dear to my heart right now, because of I would say the space that women are in their fertility journey. So that's the topic really, I would say, with this particular client, because it's so special to me, because I just feel like the support is very lacking in terms of conventional medicine when it comes to women and their fertility journey, and just the things that they're being told in the conventional space is very disheartening. Whether it's like, oh, you're labeled as a geriatric pregnancy, in the late 30s, and if you instantly have a miscarriage or infertility issues, like your only option is going to be IVF. And again, like there's a time and place for these types of things, and I would never cut anybody down from using it. But I'm in a space where I feel like first and foremost, women deserve to have the whole picture. And that is just something that's lacking right now in our traditional healthcare system. There's not support like pre-pregnancy, during pregnancy, post-pregnancy. So this client that I'm working with, her name's Amanda. She's a beautiful human as well. And she came to me originally, yes, she did come to me for like infertility issues and had a history of miscarriage, and she has a family and she wanted to grow her family more. And she was like, I think I'm learning a little bit more about functional medicine and how I need to actually probably take care of my body first a little bit before I can start this journey, and I don't really want to go down the whole like IVF route and things like that, or these other alternative solutions that they're asking me to do, these injections and all these things in the conventional space, because we were born to do this as a woman. Like our body was born to do this. And it's really special to me, because I think a lot of people can be like, well, Kim, like you don't have any kids, so you don't really understand like what it's like to be like on this journey. And I would obviously, like, those are harsh words for me to say, because I haven't gone through it yet, and I do plan to, but which I will 100% be asking all my friends for support and the people that I like trust in my referrals and things like that when it is my time. But I definitely understand the more of the clinical picture and the things that need to be put in place as a practitioner that help you with your goals in this space. So Amanda came to me again, infertility struggles, a history of miscarriage, And so she was wanting more support in her pregnancy journey, and we did some foundational testing. For most women, I'm like, yep, we need to get like a full kind of hormone evaluation for you, actually looking at your full like sex steroid hormone levels, so your estrogen levels, your progesterone, super critical for women in pregnancy. And again, it's usually a lab that the doctors are unwilling to order for you unless you're like a very like diagnostic scenario for like polycystic ovarian syndrome or something like that, or right if you're like officially menopause, where they will actually label you with that. So sometimes it's just hard to get some of these labs ordered. Sometimes providers will, other times they won't. So I'm just like, you need the full picture first of all. We need to know what we're working with. And then I always say another, like kind of the two primary underlying reasons for women with fertility struggles can be insufficient progesterone levels and hormone balance for those levels, but then also their thyroid function. Again, we just talked about like how that's the master regulator, and there's definitely like clinical guidelines that will tell you it's unsafe to leave a woman, whether if she's going through her pregnancy journey, leaving her thyroid untreated if she's very, very severely like hypothyroid. But that can be a reason for your fertility struggles in general, is having low thyroid function or irregular thyroid function in general. So we did look at a full picture for her there. So things we identified for sure. And she had wanted to do some gut and microbiome testing too, because again, some of those underlying reasons as to why you may be struggling with pregnancy is actually, it has to do with the environment. Like your body's not going to be able to grow a baby if there's these underlying issues going on in there. We have to create a nourishing environment. So we looked at her hormone levels. We looked at her full thyroid picture with a full thyroid panel. We did some mineral testing through a hair tissue mineral analysis sample, which can help identify foundational cofactors and minerals that are necessary for pregnancy, and looking at iodine levels and things like that. They did a microbiome test for her, and within it was interesting because I think within the first 3 months of helping her, just getting some of the bare minimum foundations for her, like she was very severely progesterone deficient. We had started her with some bioidentical progesterone support topically, and we helped balance out her thyroid with the cofactors of getting her more selenium, zinc, iodine, having her gut work a little bit better. She had started a little bit more on a gut protocol, and it was like within the first 3 months, boom, she was pregnant. And it was awesome. Like those are the best messages for me. Like I instantly like tear up because my fertility clients are really special to me, and I'm just like, all right, you just message me if you need anything. Right. Like I am that kind of provider, and some of them are just very much like it's like special for them. Especially when you've gone through so much trauma and loss. And I'm like, I'll be here for you. And so at that time, we had converted her to supporting a little bit other strategies for her progesterone support during the pregnancy, because, for women, I just want you to understand that despite things that you're told in the conventional practice, is that, if you're very severely deficient or you're just scraping by, it's going to create more likelihood and opportunities for you to experience the trauma of miscarriage. And I don't say that lightly or to scare you or to be mean or anything. It's just like your body wasn't doing it before, and then all of a sudden, like you get pregnant, and then they're telling you don't need XYZ anymore. I would kind of beg to differ. Like I more strategize to stay on the path of actually supporting you through that journey in the ways that you do deserve to be supported. And there's lots of scientific evidence about the safe use of these functional medicine strategies that I just talked to you about here. And so we're working with her. I think her due date is like June. She was just telling me, just messaged me the other day.
Awesome.
And
awesome.
Yeah. I think she said she got a little cold along the way and want to make sure, my whole background too is like, okay, what are the medicines that are safe to use during pregnancy and this and that. And struggling with some insomnia on the way, we helped her with some strategies for that. And I had to reach deep into some of my referrals and things too for getting some information for her. But moral of the story is just she was willing to actually take a little bit deeper root dive into her her personal body and helping support that environment for her to be able to carry a child. And, I just got a message from her the other day too. She's like, I'm just so happy, and I'm looking forward to the journey of actually continuing to work with you after pregnancy, because there's so much that happens after the pregnancy too, where she needs support. And I have some, connections with doulas and the midwives and things like that in the community that can really help support women. We've got to bring it all together because the care right now that's currently happening for women is just lacking. So,
Yeah, I love that she wanted more for herself and then reached out and had the opportunity to work with you. I have a story from, her name is Andrea, another client of ours, went from exhausted mom to really turned into quite a confident athlete. She's made a huge transformation, just not only physically, but really watching her confidence grow over the time she was with us. She came to us and she wasn't dealing with pain or injury. Her struggle was more along the lines of energy. She had young kids, wanted to keep up with them, and just couldn't. She just found herself exhausted. She never had strength trained before, had no idea where to start. And if you've never been in the world of fitness, it is intimidating to try to break in if you've never done that before. But the one thing she did know is that she did want more for herself. She wanted more for herself and her family. So she committed to one-on-one coaching, learning how to build healthy habits, strength train safely, trust her body. And something really incredible happened. She didn't just get stronger. She developed a love of running, which is such a crazy journey for her, because when she started, her first day, she ran 25 meters, and that was maximum. That was all she could do, but she stuck with it, and consistency over time showed her that she could run her first 10K. And so she started signing up for races, and today we look at her and she's just a completely different person. She's confident, she's strong, and more importantly, she has the energy and the freedom to really enjoy life because she put in the work. And through doing so, she really built a version of herself that she always wanted to be. She was with us for several years and then decided to, again, we always want to be the place that wants us but doesn't need us. And she was taking on a different role and just decided, you know what, I'm going to try this new form of fitness. And, for now, we wish her well as she writes the next chapter of her journey. So it's just such a cool transformation from where she started to where she is now. Lindsay.
All right. So one final story, and just listening to all three of us, it's just, we develop such beautiful connections with our patients. Like, we cry with them. We're excited for them. So it's just, this is, my next story is a testament to that. And, his name is Brian. He was diagnosed with metastatic, head and neck cancer. And I saw him kind of at the lowest point. He was just kind of wrapping up chemotherapy. I think he had surgery prior to that and radiation prior to that as well. And so he is a single dad. He had, at the time, I think his son was in middle school at the time, and he was the sole provider for him. And, I always follow what their true goals are, like what do we need to focus on? And he's like, Lindsay, I just want to be there for my son. And he was an avid hunter. He is a avid hunter. And he's like, I want to get back out to do some elk hunting in Colorado. And that's just a big goal of mine. And I'm like, gosh darn it, we're going to make this happen for you. So he, at the time when I saw him at his lowest with the head and neck cancer, he ended up having to have like a feeding tube put in. So he wasn't able to swallow anything, in his mouth. And that's it's hard because a lot of times when you're on feeding tubes, you're on a very strict regimen, and it's very time consuming, and it's not. We take for granted just being able to grab something and eat and drink and go, right? And it was just so hard for him, and he wanted so badly to get off this feeding tube. And him and I started really working together, doing my manual techniques to really help decongest his head and neck from the radiation, from the surgery, and basically over time, he was able to regain his swallowing and got the feeding tube removed, and, being able to, coaching him on what he needed to do to kind of get his body ready for the hiking in Colorado. And so it was just a beautiful path. And he still remains a very close friend of mine. And he's doing so fantastic. Like his cancer is maintained at this point. His son is graduating from high school this year. And I know, I think he has another elk hunt planned for this fall again. So it's just, he remains positive, and it's just, I know he's so thankful for, where he is today and doesn't take life for granted. And I just think, I think for these patients, because they become part of my life, and his victories are my victories. So I just love seeing my clients just do, whatever they love to do. And I will do my best to get whatever's important to them is important to me. So
I love these stories so much. I think it's important to highlight that really these stories can be yours. Every one of these people had a moment where they could have given up. They could have succumbed. They could have accepted the pain, the exhaustion, the limitations, but instead they chose to take action. And because of that, their lives are completely different today. If you're stuck and you feel like you've tried everything, and I started the podcast by saying, if you're wondering if change is possible, let these stories be proof that it is. You don't have to do it alone. There is a path forward. And when you're ready, we will be here to help. Any closing thoughts, comments?
Yeah, we're just here for you. I think that's just the beauty of functional medicine and holistic health. We are very committed to you. I mean, we do this for you. This is what drives us. This is why we do what we do. Reach out. We will help you. We will guide you. We will coach you.
For sure.
Yeah. It's not work. It's not work for us when we're just doing stuff that we genuinely are passionate about and that we love. And I like that you said that, Lindsay, and that's something I really take near and dear to my heart, because I really want to be a practitioner that is present with you and that is available and that you can feel connected with, and that we're we're partners in this journey. And that's just how we operate here in this wellness collective. We're real people. We're sharing real stories.
Right.
And sky's the limit.
If you or someone you know is struggling with pain, recovery, or just wants to optimize their health, we'd love to help. If you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Feel free to share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. Thank you so much for tuning into the Integrative Edge. We will see you next time.